Hello, friends. I'm Anthony LaVista, and welcome to this episode of the Wine Guild. So, tonight, well, before I do anything, I just wanted to do some housekeeping, I guess is what you call it. Subscribe, click the notifications button, like and share, and all of that. That's how we grow, that's how we keep getting to you. So, just do me that little favor before we get started. So now that we're done with that, let's go on to what we're going to do today. Now this episode I'm really looking forward to because I always wanted to try this. We're going to talk about decanting wine. And I've always wondered if the size of the decanter you use made any difference whatsoever. Well, we're going to find out firsthand. As you can see in front of you, we've got 3 different containers. One is a small personal decanter. One is a big one that you usually use for a bottle. If you have guests over, you're doing a group of folks for dinner, you use one of those big ones. And then this is just basically a masonry jar, just a run-of-the-mill masonry jar. So I'm wondering is the shape and size important, or could it be anything that you use for decanting a wine? So we're going to find out. And the wine that I've chosen to do this little experiment with is Villa Quinziana, 2011, and it's from Squinzano. So, where does this wine come from? Well, hold on. Let's do a little zoom in first, so you can take a good look at this. Look at the wine. This is the label of the wine. Get a good look at that. Let's move back out and get to the good stuff. So, this wine comes from Puglia, as they call it. In Italian, I guess you pronounce it, the G is kind of silent, but we Americans, we pronounce it Puglia, or something like that. But I think the proper pronounce is Puglia without the G. So anyway, where is Puglia? So Puglia is a southern region in Italy. And I drew a little map here to show you exactly where it is. So let me zoom in a little bit here so you can take a good look at this map, so I could demonstrate exactly where we're talking about this wine comes from. So on here, as you can see, in this corner down here, you have Sicily down here in the corner. Sorry, over here. You have Sicily in this corner down here. And this is the boot. And then it's the heel of the boot that is where this wine comes from. So this little spot right here, this little star over there, is exactly where you'd find Spaziano. You pronounce it Squinziano, the town of Squinziano, which is where this comes from. And this, as you can see, the region is it's all the boot, the heel of the boot right here. So if you're ever wondering where that region is in Italy, there you have it. There's a direct map of the area, so you can get a good understanding of where we're talking about this wine comes from. Now that region has for the longest time been underutilized when it comes to wine. For many years, people didn't really buy wine from there. Just natives of Italy had their homegrown wines. They appreciated it. It really wasn't exported. And I would say maybe 15 years ago, they started exporting it in mass, and it really has caught on. It's quite a good region. Traditionally we're always told about Tuscany or Piedmont, but this is also a nice region in the south that the wines are respectable too. Like this bottle only costs $14, respectably priced, I mean. And it's made up of 2 grapes, so it's a blend. It's made up of Negroamaro, and Malvasia. Now, if you watched the Orvieto tasting, the Malvasia was a white wine. Well, this one is a red. So there's 2 types of Malvasia, red and white. And red was used for this one to blend together. And traditionally, the Negroamaro grape is a heavier, thicker grape, more tannic, and the Malvasia. I always get the pronunciations wrong on these things. Malvasia, there you have it. The Malvasia is sweeter, so it makes a good blending combination. So I've poured the wine into these 3 containers and had them decanting for 2 hours now. So what I want to do is get into this and see how it tastes. But before I do that, I want to start by talking about the label. Remember, I always said that the label is the first part of this. Part of the whole process is the label. What does it look like? What does it make you think about? What comes to mind when you look at the label? So let's zoom in on the label again as I talk about it a bit here. Let's see here. All right, there's a good shot of the label. And as you can see on this label, there is a little picture of a structure like a Roman cathedral or a Roman museum in the background with shrubs on each side. It gives you thoughts of ancient Rome or Greece, either one of those classic architectural structures which bring those thoughts to mind. People in togas, philosophical people standing around philosophizing about the meaning of life, or Rome conquering the known world. These ancient thoughts, ancient history. And then below it you have the name of the producer, Villa Quinziano, and then 2011 is the year. Then you have Squinziano, which is, like I said, is the town or the region, the sub-region of where it comes from. And then you have this nice little label here with it looks like an award on it. It's very nice. I think it's a very attractive label. It makes you think, well, this is a good wine. I really want this on my table. It'll look nice. It looks like I have some class if I'm drinking this. So it's a good presentation. It's not crazy, it's not colorful, but it raises the mind to think of things and the imagination to start going. So I think that's a plus. That's the first thing we want in a wine, in the whole process, or the whole a process of drinking a wine and enjoying it to the best you can. Okay, so now we will go on to, we talked about the grapes. We talked about our grape gab, which is those 2 grapes. What I'd like to do now is smell it. So let's start with, I'm going to start with the small container, the small decanter, and pour it. I have a glass for each. Let's see what we got here. Well, before I smell it, the color. Let's look at the color here. The color is a dark red, and there's a little bit of brown, I think, in there, which could mean that it's starting to turn. It's a kind of old wine for this grape. It's 2011, so it's 11 years old. But it's got kind of heavy legs, and I don't know if I've ever talked about legs. Legs are when you swirl a wine and you see the wine dripping down the side, and the longer it stays, the more the alcohol content tends to be. It's just a good tip there if you ever look at wine while you're serving and want to figure out why it tastes so hot, from the alcohol. That might be an indication before you taste it that it might have a lot of alcohol in it. So, now smelling it, what odors do I get? Now, I don't get a bad odor like it's turned, so that's good. That's good news. I don't think it's turned. I'm smelling like a candy, like a reddish candy, like a cherry candy, something sweet like that. And I'm smelling plum, like a plum smell, which is typical of the Negroamaro grape. Okay, so that's number 1. Let's see if the smell is any different with number 2. It's a little difficult to get this out. I didn't put much in there because I didn't want to waste the whole bottle. I'm not going to drink all this stuff. But I wanted to do it to make a good experiment here. I wanted enough to make a good experiment. Oops, all right. Now see, now I have a different smell here. This is interesting. I get like more of a, musty smell. And that's not good, which is interesting because it's the same wine, it's the same bottle, so I wonder what's going on here. Why would I not get the smell in that one? This one obviously, maybe it opened up more, so I'm getting more because it's a wider range on it for the wine to open up and breathe. I'm getting like a musty smell, I don't like it. All right, and now number 3, out of the mason jar. Let's see what we got here. Now this is similar to number 1. Kind of makes sense. It's a smaller area, you know, that's open to air. But closer, it's closed. It's a closer nose. I don't smell much as I smelled in the other 2. So less smelling there. I can't get anything really. Nothing bad, but also nothing good. Nothing there. Very tight nose. All right. All right, so let's move on to the tasting. Back to number 1, which is the small decanter. Let's taste. Very tannic. I'm not surprised. Dries out your mouth. Very tannic. Let's see. What else is in there? I'm getting like a tart, like a very strong tart taste. Like, and I can definitely taste the alcohol in this, which I'm surprised because it's an older wine. Usually the alcohol tends to mellow. This hasn't mellowed, so it's kind of strong. I'm not tasting much of a grape at all, or not much of a fruit at all. The tannins dominate, and if you like a great strong tannic wine, this is awesome. You'll love it. It does give me a kind of a burn. The alcohol gives me a burn on the back end, which I'm not too thrilled with. All right, now I'm starting to taste a little bit of it, like a little bit of a dark cherry taste. Again, it's overpowering. I think you need to really decant this, you know, like really let it open up again. And this one, the smaller one, doesn't give it as much. And, you know, so, all right, let's go on to the bigger one. Let's see what we got here. Same taste. Tannins are strong. Doesn't taste as strong as the first one. But again, it's the old bottle, so it's all the effects of the decanter. Which decanter you have in there? Also not as hot. I don't feel it as hot on the back end as I felt in the first one. Getting the cherry, getting like tart fruits, very tart fruits. Not sweet at all. There's not an ounce of sweetness in this. If you had, I would say, like if you had a plum that was not ripened, you know, for bitter and strong. Okay, now let's go on to the good old jug here and see what we got here. The good masonry jug. See where that brings us. Similar. Less of a taste than number 2. More like number 1. I don't feel the heat as much, and that could be just because I'm getting used to it. Tasting, I'm getting used to that burn, so I don't taste it as much. So I don't think that's really a valid thing to say. But that tart feeling, a tart taste of a unripened fruit, an unripened heavy dark fruit. That's what it tastes like to me. So I think the end result of the experiment is that the bigger one is the best for opening up, especially in a heavy Italian wine like this, that needs to open up for you to get anything out of it really. Because right now it's still overpowering with the tannins and the alcohol a bit. So that would be my choice to go with the big decanter on this. It's all about your taste, as always. Like I said, I do like this wine. I do like it. I like powerful tannic wines, and I'm a very dry head. I don't like sweetness in my wines. So this is something that I would buy. And I was thinking about a rating scale that I would do, and I was thinking 1 to 5. And I would rate this at a 3, probably, which means I would buy it again. Anything below 3, I would not go out and buy it. I'd buy this again. But now I know this has got longevity. This thing could last another 10 years. It probably would be quite nice another 10 years. So there you have it on that. I think it was a good choice, and it's funny because I don't even know if you're gonna be able to find this wine anywhere, but hey, it's worth looking for. I got this out of a wine club years ago, and I've kept it. So I'm pretty happy that it did not go bad, because it was just kept back here in the racks. It wasn't in a refrigerator or anything like that, and it's been 11 years. So it's a testament to the strongness of the Negroamaro grape that it held up this long. All right, so that's the tasting. But before I go, I wanted to just add a little thing to the video, or add to the episode, and that is just a little bit of wine history each time, and a wine quote. I thought it would be good to do that. And I've talked about a book before. I've talked about that Italian book around grapes and regions of Italy. But I'd like to introduce you to another one. This one is a book called From Demon to Darling, Legal History of Wine in America. It's a good book. A little long, can be boring at times, but it has some great stuff in it, great information. If you're curious as to how things have developed over the years, it's a great documentation of everything. And one of the interesting facts I wanted to share with you is that we think of wine as not an American thing traditionally. California, of course, but back in the day when the colonies were being formed, you never thought about wine. You never really thought about it as something that was important, but it was very prevalent to the colonists. And in here it says that even in Virginia in 1623, the legislature and the governor decreed that every man had to produce or plant at least 3/4 of an acre of vines to grow grapes. So it shows you that wine is really integral to the American culture, and to me that was mind-boggling to me. I never knew that, and that's quite interesting. But if you're interested in history and stuff like that, this is a good one to pick up and read. And then the last thing I wanted to say was a quote. I think it's good to have wine quotes. They're always inspiring to me. And the quote that I wanted to say is, it's pretty simple. It's wine is bottled poetry. And that was by Robert Louis Stevenson, who was a novelist in the 1800s, a Scottish novelist in the 1800s. That was a quote of his. Wine is bottled poetry. When you think about it, it really is. It's pretty awesome. If you get a good bottle of wine and you follow it through and you go through the process and you create an experience, it becomes lyrical. It becomes something to remember by. And I think that's a great quote. So just remember that one. Wine is bottled poetry. Great quote. So with that, I think this episode has come to an end. And I just want to say, again, I hate, at the risk of being an annoying person hawking people, to do something, like and subscribe so that you get notified. You'll see when the next one comes. That's really the issue, and it helps us build our audience. Helps us build the guild, right? The more people you share with, the more people view it on YouTube, the better it is for us. And we grow and we get bigger and better. So as always, I say, try new things, expand your palate. Let each new bottle you open take you on an adventure. That's my quote. Let each new bottle you open take you on an adventure, because that's really the fun of wine. So with that, I will say, as always, thank you for watching The Wine Guild.